Hello, I'm Debbie Bell-Hosking for FinextraTV, and I'm bringing you part of our Predict 2025 US series here from London. And I'm joined by Todder Moning of US Bank, who is attending CES in Las Vegas. So Todder, a big welcome. So lovely to see you there in the lobby.
Thanks, Debbie. Nice to see you. Great to be here.
And it's so wonderful because we're sort of getting a hot off the press look at CES. Can I ask you, from the excitement and the buzz you're hearing there on the ground, what innovation do you think banks should be looking at, considering and adopting to take them into the future?
Yeah, as you know, CES is a pretty big drink of water. I would say a few of the things that I'm really noticing, and I've been coming to CES now for about 15 years, and it gives you a chance to watch things over time. It's just how there's this huge constellation of devices, vehicles, et cetera, that people have to manage in their life, more than really just their smartphone. We think of this as kind of a long-term trend toward decamping the smartphone and having to interact with this growingly more capable, smart, set of vehicles, devices, et cetera, and that these devices are getting sensors, embedded software, new capabilities, right? And as you think about that, it becomes yet another series of channels by which we can bring sort of U.S. Bank value to our customers, to our employees, to our business customers, et cetera. So that's a real big one, just the continuation of that Internet of Things trend. I'd say another one really is, the huge buzzword here this year, of course, is AI, right? And AI certainly has been in industries and devices and even in banking for many years now, so it's not new. But generative AI and the ability to use language to create these AI assistants, these bots, these agents, they're getting to be embedded in all manner of devices here. It reminds me of back about 5 years ago when Echo started Alexa, and voice became this big thing. And then the very next year, Alexa and voice was put into everything. Some things where it made sense, and some things where it was kind of like, do I really need, voice interaction with a pet dish or with a grill? So we're kind of seeing this here. But AI is definitely an important addition that has a lot of value to add to a lot of these spaces. And then finally, the other one I would add is Edge AI, which we're starting to see emerge. One of the more exciting things that we're seeing is, as these chatbots using language in AI is starting to move into what are called large action models, AI that can actually take actions. And then after that, they'll move into the physical world. And NVIDIA had some very interesting announcements about how they're helping to use audiovisual data so that robots, vehicles, devices can start learning about the real world, about the physics of it, about how to interact in it, et cetera. So that has been maybe one of the more interesting, not surprising. It's something that we've been watching and predicting, but interesting to see it, start to happen.
And Todder, I really enjoyed just listening to your reply there, because we did a little historical tour almost of the things we've been through and the things that we are currently going through and what to expect next. And what you're seeing here at CES, you are yourself in the predictions business. If you can explain a little bit of that, and also how what you are seeing at CES is affecting your own predictions.
As the lead futurist at US Bank, I run a group called Applied Foresights, and of course, The dirty little secret is, of course, no one can predict the future, right? But what you can do is you can look at the past and then signals and drivers and trends that are showing up in the present so that you can consider the many possible little f futures in different, industry sectors, different areas of people's lives. And from that, you can start creating these scenarios, these little prototypes of, well, if this continues, what might that mean? And CES is a great place to do that. So Dominic Venturo, who started the innovation group, and I was his first employee, in doing that, we always thought coming to places like this on what I call future safaris would be very valuable. Future safaris where you kind of get out of the office and you go out and find the things that are going to be impacting people's lives. And when we do that, we look to try to, cover what I call the 5 Ls. And CES is the perfect place to do this, right? Because you've got thousands of companies in dozens of industries showing dozens and dozens of core technologies and how they're using it across industries. And it's perfect for what I call the 5 Ls, right? It's got the latest, so all of the announcements happen at this show for the year of all the new products. It has what I call lateral. Lateral is if this industry, like let's say health and wellness, are using these technologies and services in this way, how is that similar or different than how other industries are using it? There's longitudinal, meaning because we've been coming for years, we can see whether and at what speed robots are getting smarter and better. What IoT or blockchain or other technologies are doing over time. And then the last two are probably the most exciting, right? The leading edge is where you run across R&D and new things that are going to be big 5 or 10 years from now, potentially, or maybe not. And left field. Left field are just, you find those things you're not expecting to find. And some of them, could be amazing, and some of them could be really dumb. So it's a pretty exciting way to look for those signals and drivers and trends, and then start to triangulate on what does this mean for our customers and employees? What does it mean for people's lives? Because if they're going to be interacting and having their lives changed, then we need to think about how we can bring kind of U.S. bank value and services into those new ways that they're starting to interact.
And Todd, I feel almost after this interview I need to look back at those 5 Ls, because I think that's a great way to structure how we're looking at technology and applying it. You're talking about US Bank as well, and you're talking about customers. So let's return now to perhaps key product innovations that you feel at US Bank will be making a big impact in 2025.
I'd say that, again, starting with the so a little history, like NFC and being able to have tap interactions to do transactions came out of, a lot of things that we've seen at CES. Our voice work and how voice has expanded into a human-machine kind of interaction channel came out of that. A lot of the things that we end up coming up with, whether it's in year or the following year or potentially many years from now, that R&D starts with this show. I would say that getting back to AI, that is going to be a big deal for the way that we think about things, and the way it's starting to make its way into people's lives. The same way that they have to manage this constellation of devices, they're going to start getting their own AI assistants, their own AI agents that will help them do everything from, you know, decide what to wear that morning, all the way to, what investment decisions should they be making, or how to manage the very busy active family. And so, to the degree that they're going to have AI assistants, that's a whole new class of, kind of like customer, right, that banks need to think about serving. How do we ensure that their AI assistants and agents can get things done for them that they expect from us? So, that's definitely one of the big ones. And again, the march toward automation and autonomy, and how that's going to change how we deliver payments, commerce, financial services, that kind of thing, is a big one as well. Because of these devices, the software, these agents, are going to be doing things for their owners, and maybe someday in the distant future on their own behalf, for their own behalf. They're going to need access to financial services. They're going to need safe, reliable access in a very permissioned and limited way to their owners' financial services, and potentially they might need some financial services of their own. So we're starting to play around with, what does that mean, and how do we start thinking about banking all of these synthetic kind of customers. I always use the term synthetics for anything that's not like a real person. So hardware, software, that kind of thing.
What I'm hearing from you, Todder, is just this umbrella view of understanding how your customers using technology to understand your customer, but also ensuring you deliver what they want in a safe and effective way. And as we bring this interview to a close, you're there at CES. Has anything surprised you? Now, I do appreciate you've still got more to see on the floor, but has anything surprised you? Has there been anything unexpected during your visit so far?
There's two things that jump out, right? So one is, we were promised autonomous driving back, at the beginning of this decade, and it turned out to be a harder problem that takes longer to sort of solve. And so many creative companies have gone the in-between route, like, well, I can still use autonomous vehicles, they're just going to be controlled remotely by people. Not unlike the way the drone pilots fly drones, there are folks that are controlling autonomous trucks or autonomous tractors, etc. What I was blown away by in the CAT booth was the ability to sit there and control a real, like a big construction excavator that was in Arizona on a job site, and I was able to dig that sitting here in Las Vegas. And that really was surprising to me. That middle between not yet automated and not yet autonomous, but something safe kind of in between while, we're moving our way toward autonomy. The second thing is everything here, whether it's boats, lawnmowers, you name it, runs on electricity. And so the importance of energy, and some places here are showing new energy sources like hydrogen or like, small modular nuclear. Just the importance of energy and the electric grid, and putting all of these things on the electric grid is really going to mean that energies and utilities, et cetera, are becoming much, much more just as important as they've ever been, but maybe more so. And making sure that not only do they have enough energy to do that, but making sure that the grid and that whole sort of set of infrastructure is protected and safe. Because if everything's going to run on this, it's pretty important. It's not unlike the way we think about AI and blockchain and IoT and cloud, those core technologies that are just really critical. Of course, energy and utilities now becomes that set. And banks have to really be thinking about how can I make sure that I'm helping my consumer customers, my corporate customers, et cetera, not only get the energy that they need, but protect that, that investment. So in some ways, we're growing to where it's maybe even more about, it's about more than just money.
Wow, that's so interesting to hear you speak, Todder. It's almost like you've got to nurture the foundation, even when you're looking at the end users and the end products there. And wonderful to get this, almost a report as such, from CES. So I can't thank you enough. It's been wonderful speaking to you.
Thanks, Debbie. Thanks for having us.